Good afternoon. My name is Charles Rachlis. I am running for Vice President of the California Association of Professional Scientists. This is the second in a series of video YouTube presentations to discuss our campaign and why we're running and hopefully why you'll vote for us. In the first of the videos that we presented, we talked about my introduction to CAPS, how I slowly learned that CAPS is an undemocratic organization, how there are no regular membership meetings, how the meetings that we do attend are actually informational meetings and are in violation of the bylaws and in violation of the California Corporate Code, under which mutual benefit nonprofit corporations like CAPS function. We talked about the failure of Blanning and Baker and the current and long-term ever-revolving self-reappointing boards strategy and tactics of going to the courts to fight for our rights has been a total failure. They lost the furlough cases, the pay parity cases. We haven't been able to develop any kind of strong unity in the trade union movement to advance our interests, and in fact we are an isolationist union that does not believe in labor solidarity. So there are many reasons why our union, as it's structured today and under the existing leadership, are not capable of meeting the interests of the membership and are going to be incapable of fighting in the upcoming negotiation for a fair contract to win what has been taken away from us, to fight for COLAs that we're behind 18% in, and to mobilize the membership for the type of struggle that we have ahead of us. So in this video we want to talk about the two types of trade unionism that are facing off against each other in this election. One type we'll call business trade unionism or corporate trade unionism, and that's what we have with CAPS, Blanning, and Baker. CAPS, Blanning, and Baker tells us that we are a professional association. Don't think of yourself as workers. We have room for both the rank and file scientist and the supervisor in the same organization. In other words, the worker and his supervisor are both represented by the same organization, which seems a contradiction in traditional trade unionism, but it's not a problem for CAPS. It is a problem, however, for the CAPS rank and file when they try to present a grievance, and in walks a CAPS representative from Blanning and Baker who puts his arm around the supervisor, who is basically giving a hard time to the worker for management, and puts his other arm around the worker and says, "Can't we all just get along?" Well, this is not how a union functions. The grievance procedure is there to protect the rank and file, not to protect the supervisor and management. And when we pay for our union to go in there and represent management, we're basically taking away our strength and our ability to protect ourselves. We have many stories of talking to individual CAP members, and I'm not going to go through them because they were personally divulged, about their incidences where the intervention by the Blanning and Baker staff into a grievance situation turned out to favor the management side as opposed to the workers' side. That's one aspect of business unionism. One aspect of corporate unionism that's specific to our organization is that Blanning and Baker, which provides staff for CAPS, is a corporation that makes a profit off of CAPS. So our executive director and chief spokesperson, Christopher Voigt, is a partner in Blanning and Baker. His salary is determined by Blanning and Baker as a partner, not by CAPS. So you can't go and say, how much does our executive director make? what you'll be told is we pay CAPS $800,000 a year or whatever it is, and that's their business, as is the business of paying all of the staff, nice staff people that you see at these informational meetings. So they have a separate chain of command. Most other unions, if you were a staff person for SEIU or AFSCME, etc., your check at the end of the week or month would be from SEIU and CAPS, and or AFSCME, etc., and you would have a direct chain of command from your union to your union staff. That's not what we have here. So it seems that we have a conflict of interest, because the role of a partner in a corporation is to assure maximum profit for that corporation. Well, maximum profit doesn't come from spending a whole lot of time doing grievances. And it sure doesn't come from going out and mobilizing the membership, having meetings, doing the hard cubicle by cubicle, lab by lab work of getting people to come out and participate and build an organization that can stand against the major economic crisis that we're having imposed upon us by the denizens of Wall Street, the politicians, and the corporations that are trying to force their crisis on our backs, and have been very successfully in the last period. In fact, they've been doing it with our support, because our money goes from us to Blanning and Baker into nice little envelopes which they deliver to the politicians, who in turn adjudicate over our contracts and have given us these concessionary and take-back contracts without any way forward. So when we started to discover this, we said, well, I have to reach the membership and discuss our lack of democracy with the membership. So I went to union meetings and I raised my hand and I said, according to Robert's Rules of Order, I would like to call for the orders of the day, which is how you ask for the agenda. And I found out that indeed those were not regular membership meetings. They were informational meetings, and there's no place for an agenda or for members to put anything on the agenda. So the question is, where does a member have a right to speak to the rest of the membership, to organize the membership, and to deal with questions of strategy and tactics? So what I found out is, because there's no regular membership meetings, there's no forum, there is only one way to reach the membership, and that is to run for office. So we decided our slate, Charles Rachlis, myself for vice president, Will Wright running for president, and Giorgio Cosentino running for treasurer, we decided to run for office and submit our statements to the organization so that they could be presented to the membership in the ballot booklet that you will get on October 3rd or 4th. But then we found out that the election committee can censor or redact parts of our statements that they feel do not are defamatory or of that nature. Well, basically they cut out anything that said Blanning and Baker has a role in controlling our organization, anything that said we don't have democracy in our organization, anything that pointed out these issues that I spoke to you before. So what you will get on October 3rd or 4th is censored statements from all of our candidates, at least the three of us. Everyone else's statements are presumably fine, I don't know. And it won't have the information that we're trying to reach you with. So what is the difference between the strategy and tactics of the two types of unionism? We talked about the corporate trade unionism, which ties our organization to the politicians, to the lobbyists, and to the lawyers, with the dead-end strategy of going to courts that don't favor us, to going to politicians that turn on our back. The other type of trade unionism is solidarity, rank and file, class struggle trade unionism. This is anathema to Blanning and Baker and the current leadership. They say, we are a professional organization. We're not like those other workers. We're not Teamsters. What do you think we are here? Well, this denial of the rank and file's actual class position in society is what's holding us back. Let's think about rank and file class struggle trade unionism. What does that mean? That means that the rank and file is organized mobilized, and participates in the decision-making processes of the organization, and it turns itself into a fighting force that stands as one during negotiation times and is able to exert its muscle to force the state to actually look for the money to pay the workers. We know there's money in California. There's 84 billionaires in the state of California. There's 84 billionaires in the state of California, and they can't find the money to pay the scientists a fair share. They have to come after state workers and come after them hard because they have to cater to the same people that pad the bulk of the pockets of the politicians. We give them a couple of nickels and dimes, but the billionaires give them the big bucks. So we're padding the same pockets of the same politicians that the billionaires are, and who do you think the billionaires are listening to? How do we turn that around? Solidarity trade unionism. April 4th was a day of action across the United States called by the AFL-CIO. Why? In defense of the brothers and sisters in Wisconsin who were showing the way forward, who were trying to stop a crushing of the public workers' right to unionize. What did CAPS do? Oh, CAPS didn't participate. CAPS didn't say, let's join the day of action. CAPS didn't say, let's get our membership out in the street. What did CAPS do? They basically ignored it. They didn't tell us anything. But what did real trade unionists do? The ILWU Local 10 shut down the ports on the West Coast for 24 hours in defense of public workers. Are they public workers? No. But they understood the importance of the attack on the public workers, and they came out in our defense. A few weeks later, they were charged with a violation of their contract and taken to court, and they're still under the gun by their employer. And a defense committee was formed in the Bay Area to build solidarity for them. Who signed on to support them? Hundreds of trade unions around the world. Robert Reich, former labor secretary. Ramsey Clark, former attorney general to the United States. All kinds of labor supporters and labor unions signed on to support the ILWU. And I called up and sent a note to the CAPS board and said, this is an important way for us to show labor solidarity. It costs us nothing more than a signature. We sign on to support the ILWU and we start to build labor solidarity. So when we're under the gun, we can say we need support and we've got your back and you have ours. An injury to one is an injury to all. The basic standard from the Knights of Labor, the original American trade union, called for the concern of one is the concern of all. That's what solidarity trade unionism is about. And what did our board say? They said, well, that's not what we want to do because that was a wildcat strike and we don't want to be tarred with the same brush. Well, brothers and sisters, if we intend to win, if we intend to stand up with any strength in the upcoming negotiations, we have to build the type of solidarity, the type of movement, the type of mobilization that can get the attention of the state and force them to pay what's coming to us. Who do you want going into those negotiations? Someone that's going to build and mobilize the organization? A group of leaders that are going to reach out to labor across the state of California and reclaim our position as upstanding participants in the labor movement, or a group of stuffed shirt, politician, bootlicking, corporate hucksters who are taking your dime out of your pocket, putting it into their profit center, and then passing out your money to the same politicians that stab you in the back. Then they go into negotiations for you and pretend that they're going to win something. Guaranteed, if you go with the current leadership and you leave Blanning and Paker in place, we're going to have more concessions in the next round of negotiations. We need to get organized. We need to turn CAPS into a fighting union. Vote for Charles Rachlis for Vice President, Will Wright for President, and Giorgio Cosentino, and we will take steps to turn CAPS into a labor solidarity, rank and file, class struggle trade union that can stand up. Thank you very much.